Bank in Copenhagen. Time to get back to Davos. Steve Sedgwick on the ground, joined now by the CEO of Energy Innovation. Steve.
Guy, I'm indeed, and we were talking earlier about some of the big themes. Well, of course, energy and what we do about energy going forward in this century is one of those big issues, and indeed how some of those superpowers I was mentioning earlier do adapt their resources and indeed their economy to diminishing resources. Now, Bill Gross is the Chief Executive of Energy Innovations. He's one of 30 CEOs from companies which have been deemed technology companies of the future by the World Economic Forum. Bill, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Congratulations, first of all, on that accolade from the World Economic Forum. What exactly does that mean to you as a CEO, to you as a company?
Well, we're honored to be selected as a technology pioneer, and we're really trying to make solar be an important part of this century's energy solution. So we're here to talk to other partners about making that happen, and we're excited to do that.
We've talked a little bit beforehand about solar, about the importance of it. There is a very big question for people looking at the higher price of oil now. They're looking at alternatives and they're saying, well, actually, solar is still very expensive. What's happening with those prices? Well,
solar is only going to take off when its price is better than oil. We're halfway through the oil era. We found oil 150 years ago, and we've used up about half of it. And this century, we're going to run out. So we have to find a replacement, but the way we're going to make solar take off faster is just to get the price down. And right now, solar costs about $10 a watt, and we're working on ways to bring it out this year for $5 a watt, and another factor of 2 reduction, and we'll be cheaper than oil.
So you get it down just another factor of what you've already done in the last year or so, then we're talking about a very competitive alternative, and an alternative to nuclear as well.
Yes, this century, the only 2 things that we have that can possibly replace oil are nuclear and solar. We have nuclear that might last us for 20 or 50 years, and we have solar that will last us forever. So we have to get ourselves over to it. It's just a matter of how much disruption we have to get there. And I really want to try and encourage investment and innovation to help get us there sooner.
You spent a lot of time looking at the competing technologies. Nuclear is pretty unpalatable to some people out there. Of course, the push for nuclear has been very contentious in recent weeks as well with Iran. A lot of these emerging economies, the developing nations, are they looking at solar very seriously as a renewable source?
I think people are really looking at solar seriously now because the price has come down so much already, because there's so much investment happening in renewable energy in general, because it's so clean and so safe. Over $30 billion was invested last year in renewable energies. That's a dramatic increase over the past couple decades, and I think finally we're going to have some traction.
India, China, the big themes here. You've been here as well a few days or a few hours. You've noticed that that's one of the big themes about it. What are we going to do to get India and China, who have got these massively growing economies, on track on the solar side of things, rather than becoming oilaholics?
Well, interestingly, to make solar less expensive and competitive with oil, you need really great manufacturing prowess to get the price down close to the cost of raw materials. And India and China both have that. India and China have incredible supply chain ability. And we are actually manufacturing our product for Energy Innovations in China. So I think India and China have a great advantage, actually, in embracing solar first or sooner than we did in the United States.
So you're using them down the chain as far as costs are concerned, but are they proving very proactive customers?
I think India and China are very forward-looking countries on the renewable energy front. They're trying to bring so many people into this century with much more power. But power is so essential to our way of life. And if they can bring more and more people to have that energy capability in those countries, they are thinking about that in very interesting ways.
You're working on a panel here, the new era of technology. Is that really just about educating people about solar energy, or is it a more open forum where you'll discuss other forms of renewables, other technologies that can take us forward?
I'm looking at all ways that can take us forward, not just solar. I think solar has the ultimate outcome for us for our energy solutions because the sun gives us more than 100,000 times more energy than the entire planet uses. But we need to cause innovation across the whole spectrum, not only in the solar field, but in all our implementations of how we take the energy situation forward.
And Bill, finally, of course, we're in a post-Kyoto era nowadays. How do you see that panning out? How do you see the conversations here in Davos at the World Economic Forum moving forward? What was a very acrimonious stage, and it never really got full consensus. Do you think we'll get that from the likes of the US, people like Australia, who never endorsed Kyoto?
Well, I think we're going to get some movement. I think the world is starting to realize that the amount of carbon we're putting into the atmosphere is actually causing some change. The climate change is not an anomaly anymore. About a century ago, we had 275 parts per million of carbon in the atmosphere. Now we have 375. It's going to go to 550. And who knows what's going to happen to this Earth if we let it go to 550, double what it was a century ago. So I think people are realizing that finally.
Bill, it's been a pleasure speaking to you this morning. Thank you very much indeed. Have a great meeting here in Davos. Right, we're going to take a short